This is going to be a recap of my second ever robot competition. It was at i3 Detroit on October 11th, 2025. i3 Detroit is a cool makerspace near Detroit. They teach you how to make cubes or how to be a car or how to have a party. But more recently, they've been doing robot fights. I wasn't expecting to do another competition this year. I wanted more time to make changes to the robot. But this one was so close to where I live that I couldn't turn it down. In the little time that I did have, I decided to improve the wheels. My wheels in the last competition were very slippery, and it made it difficult to push people around. So I decided to go with the rubber custom, rubber poured wheels. And as you can see in this testing here, they had a lot more grip than my O-ring wheels. My first fight was against a robot called Strike Eagle. It was a new robot at the time. I don't have a great image of it, but Strike Eagle is essentially a tube with big foam wheels at the ends and then a massive horizontal spinner in the middle. And the tube is made entirely of Tegris. Pretty much the whole frame is Tegris, which is a light kind of woven plastic material, somewhat similar to carbon fiber, but I think a little more flexible and even lighter. So this robot is basically all weapon. I was feeling okay about this fight. The giant weapon did scare me, but I've fought against a few horizontals in the past in my last competition, and those usually went pretty well. Toast is good at taking the horizontal hits. Both robots tend to go flying, but I'm able to catch up to them quickly and sometimes, pin them against the wall and things. I tried to box rush them a bit, but in this weight class, I feel like weapons spin up so quick that that's not always the most effective. I got a nice pin to start, so I was feeling decent about it. And I think they ended up... No, they're not upside down here. I thought maybe they were. I'm essentially just trying to keep hitting my metal plate into their weapon. And that went well until now, when I lost one side of the drive. And at this point, it's kind of over because I can't really do any pushing. Their robot tried to fight the arena a bit, and I kind of spun in circles. Not a whole lot else happened, but I'll just let it play through. I didn't see a lot of physical damage, so while it's possible that something got jammed up, I was pretty sure it was an electrical issue. After the fight, when I opened it up, I noticed that one of my motor wires unplugged itself from the motor terminal. I just had these kind of press-in connectors, and one of them came off and, cut power to that side. This was the same setup I was using in all of my last competition fights and never had this problem happen. So I figured this was just an extra big weapon and it must have shucked something loose, or I just didn't really connect them all the way properly. So I ended up, I came to this competition with two robots, so I decided to just swap in the other one and keep everything the same. For the next fight, we were up against Horizon, which is another two-wheel horizontal, more of a traditional style. And this was actually a robot that I had fought in my last competition and won against. I think it was the best performing fight for my robot last time. So it was kind of cool to get the chance to fight against them again. I'm kind of hoping to do the same things. The robot seemed like if you got them a little off balance, they would kind of careen themselves into the walls because of their weapon hitting the floor or all their weird gyro forces going on. So I just needed to survive the hits. One thing I tried in this fight was using a fully TPU front armor piece instead of my metal plate. I know a lot of robots use full TPU armor, and my metal plates are probably the most annoying piece to make on this robot, so if I can get away with all TPU, then that's going to be convenient. And the TPU is obviously a lot lighter than the metal plate, and if I can find a thickness that still works, I can potentially cover more of my robot with sufficient armor, whereas the metal plate, I could try to find a thinner metal plate and cover more, but I only had a certain thickness metal, and just weight-wise, I couldn't cover more of the robot. I kind of talked over what happened here, but in like 2 hits, I lost drive again, and I was pretty sure it was the same problem as last time, which sucked because I could have done more to fix it, but it hadn't happened at all in the first competition. So I thought it was like a fluke in my first fight, but now that it happened 2 in a row, it's more of a systematic issue. I'm still not exactly sure why my motor wires unplugged way more often on this competition, because they have the same connections. The only real thing I changed between competitions was my wheels. So the one theory I have is that because my wheels are so much grippier, maybe the robot resists sudden movement more than when it had slippery wheels, and that just creates like more kind of shaking and shock traveling through the robot that's strong enough to unplug the wires. I don't know if that's true, but that's my only thoughts. This here was my favorite sequence of the fight, where I somehow managed to get an actual pin, even though I could only drive in circles. It just kind of worked out that I could slowly rotate them into the wall, and it kind of happened twice in a row. So we take the small victories. But yeah, I did not win this fight. I forgot to say, but I didn't win the first one either. So we end up 0-2 at the end of this. After seeing this problem happen twice in a row, I know I need to fix it. So the first thing I tried was just super gluing the wires onto the terminals. It sounded like a quick, good solution, but it went horribly wrong because the super glue just went between the wire and the motor terminal, insulated it, and no actual current could flow. So now I have a wire that's stuck on the motor that is still unplugged. So that was fun to get off and scrape all that out. I ended up having enough time between my matches that I just soldered on my wires to the motor terminal. And I probably should have just done that from the start. My third fight was against Lil Pacino, which is, I think, a beater bar kit robot with some upgrades to it. I think this is only the second vertical spinner I've fought against. They had these tiny forks on the front, and I wasn't sure how effective they were going to be. And whenever the other robot has some amount of ground game, I want to use my plastic sheet to make sure I can get under them, because that's the lowest and most effective wedge I can have. But the downside to that is then I get stuck on the floor a bunch. And in this fight, I'm not even sure if they ended up running their tiny little forks. So I probably shouldn't have used my plastic sheet. You'll see a few times that I get stuck. Here I got flipped upside down. And whenever that happens, you have to drive backwards. All the controls are reversed. And it takes a second to get used to. I ended up getting a nice pin there. This match ended up being a lot of chasing each other around. A couple hits in there, a couple pins, and me getting stuck on the floor. Like I said, in this fight, the wires are soldered on now, so I was really hoping to not see the same problem happen. I think that was my main goal. But also, just in general, I think verticals aren't going to deliver as hard of hits as horizontals, so I'm not sure if it would have even hit enough to unplug the wires. But so far so good here. I ended up getting flipped back upright, so controls are normal again. Got a couple more pins. And that's the end of the fight. Ended up being somewhat close, went to a judge's decision. In the end, they gave Toast the victory. I think I just got enough pins in there, and there weren't that many big hits, and the ones that did land didn't really do any damage. I was definitely happy that I didn't have the motor unplug issue this time, but a little disappointed that it took 2 losses in the beginning to get to that point when, I feel like I had a decent chance in those fights if my motors didn't unplug. My final fight, currently at a 1-2 record, was against Twofold. It's another control robot, 2-wheel drive, and it's got kind of these 2 big triangle wedges. This is the first other control robot that I fought against. I ended up going with the plastic wedge again to give my robot the best chance of getting under theirs. I think that's even more important in the control robot mirror matchup. Whoever gets under the other one's going to have a lot better time at pushing people around. If I remember in this fight, they were having a brand new driver drive the robot, because both of us were already out of contention on making the bracket. So they did a lot of spinning in circles, and I did a lot of getting stuck on the floor. But whenever we did go head-to-head, my wedge ended up getting under, and I got some good pushing around. I say one, positive from this competition overall is the grippier wheels did seem to make a difference. I did a lot more pushing in this competition than the last one. This was my favorite part of this fight, where I got under them enough and I actually ended up sitting on top of my robot, kind of standing vertically. So as this plays out, just kind of overall thoughts for this competition. It was a cool place. I'm happy that there's a competition venue that's so close to where I live. I can basically, time-wise, should be able to make it to all of these. And they've done a few in 2025, so hoping they do a few in 2026 as well. Performance, I ended up 2-2 again, no knockouts, so pretty much the same record as my first competition. I think this one felt worse because we got 2 losses in the beginning, and it was kind of a disappointing reason why we lost. I don't really feel like I was necessarily super outclassed by the other robots. I just had an easy-to-fix thing that I overlooked. But like I said, I was happy with how the new wheels performed. And the match against Horizon, where I used the TPU wedge, that also went well. It did cut through a lot of the TPU, but it didn't cut through all of it. And TPU, 3D printed parts are so easy to make that I could, slap on a brand new one of those for every fight. I'll leave you off here with the best fight of the night, in my opinion, which was a ant-weight fight between Pablo and Technetum. Or is it Technetium? Connecticut?
3, 2, 1, fight! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
3 seconds left. Yes.
That'd be best ant farm for a while.